Simmons and Fletcher Local Missions Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Cannon, managing partner over at Simmons and Fletcher. Very excited today. We have a return guest, Melinda Stephenson, the executive director of Clothe by Faith. She was one of my first guests to come on in November of 2021, and seemed like a good time to have her come back and give us a little bit of an update about what's going on with Clothe by Faith and how they've expanded, because I know that they've grown and they've reached new areas. So without further ado, Melinda, why don't you introduce yourself and introduce Clothe by Faith to everyone?
Thank you, Paul, for having us. I am Melinda Stephenson, the executive director with Clothe by Faith. I founded our Deer Park branch, and we also have our main branches in Katy, Texas. And what we do is we take your clothing donations, and then we turn around and we give a week's worth of clothing to children and adults in need across the greater Houston area through partnerships with other organizations, nonprofits, and agencies and school districts.
Wow, awesome. And what all sorts of can you give us like an idea of all the different school districts you're working with?
Sure. So there's 22 different districts across the city that we worked with in during the last school year. That's Katy ISD, Houston, Cy-Fair, Alief, Deer Park, Pasadena, LaPorte, Galena Park, Channelview, Pearland, Alvin, Spring Branch, and Aldine, and I'm sure I've missed a couple. And through those school districts we work with, it may be school personnel that we're working with, like a school counselor or a social worker. It might be communities in schools. We do a lot with communities in schools. We work with their Houston, their Southeast Houston, Brazoria County office, and also their Bay Area office. And so we kind of cover all of communities and schools in Houston. And then we also work with Harris County's CY, their children and youth services work, or community youth services workers. So it varies on what we work with in districts. Sometimes it's both, like in Pasadena ISD. I know that we work with both their social workers, their parent coordinators, and communities and schools. So it just kind of depends. Whoever's meeting those non-academic needs that are such a huge need in the school districts is the people that we work with.
Wow, it sounds like you guys have grown. I know you refer to it as Greater Houston area, but correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like I heard multiple counties. You're crossing lines there to help out.
Yes, we work with Harris, but we also work with Fort Bend, Galveston, Brazoria, Chambers, and even up into Montgomery County sometimes.
Wow, that is awesome. And how long has Clothe by Faith been doing this?
So we started in 2013, and actually we started in the garage of our founder, Abby Forey. She put together a clothing drive for Casa de Esperanza, and over the years, it just continued to grow. She had several, the other two founders, Suzanne Houston and Audrey Hosey, came alongside her, and they just started doing more and more collecting of donations, giving out clothing. And then in 2006, they moved into a warehouse, and then 2016, we moved into the building that our Katy branch is in now, across from Kingsland Baptist Church, right after those tax day floods back in 2016. Right. And then 2017, we opened the Deer Park branch. And of course, right after that was Harvey. And so we've really just continued to grow, and our reach through our communities, through working with individuals, and then also with working with the agencies and school districts. In fact, we did take requests from individuals last summer, and we're looking to start taking some requests from individuals again, but the need from the agencies and the schools has just been so great that we had to decide who are we going to serve. And so we really have been focusing on those, because those agencies cover a variety of different needs.
Wow. And what all age groups are you guys covering with this?
So we do babies through adults. So
Wow.
We can do the whole family.
And I understand you guys take donations of like gently used clothing as well as new clothing from people, and basically it's sorted into sizes where you can create basically a shopping bag for people, correct?
Correct. So we take those donations in, and one of the key things about Clothe by Faith is we are very picky about the quality of the clothing that we give people, because our goal isn't just to say, okay, you need clothes, we're going to give you some clothes to get by. Our goal is to give them hope and dignity. So that bag of clothes is going to be able to, it's something they can wear to school. It's stuff that they can wear to work. It's stuff they can wear out in their daily lives, that is not going to give any indication that they got clothing from a charity. And so we're very picky. So we take those clothing, we take all donations, and what we do is we sort through them and decide what we're going to keep, and the stuff that we don't keep goes to recycling. And so if you've got clothing that you think, well, they're not going to wear this, it's, if you can put it in a bag by itself and market recycling, that goes straight to our recycling company. And that's actually one of our income streams. They pay us for that clothing, and then we're able to use that towards some of the new stuff that we do have to purchase. So we take the gently used and new clothing, we sort it. It goes into different sections in our branches. We have a kids section, a men's section, and a women's section. And so then what happens is we get requests through an online system from these partner agencies and schools, and then our staff and volunteers take that request and go shop through our inventory and choose a week's worth of clothing. They've got a list. It's typically like 5 bottoms, 7 to 10 tops, a couple of dresses for girls and women, jackets, hoodies, shoes. They'll add purses and things into and accessories in the women's bags, and sometimes stuff for the men too. And they do it based on the preferences that are put in the request. So it can be just generic, but it can also be very detailed, where maybe it's a child that needs elastic pants or needs shoes that don't tie. They need Velcro shoes. They can put that in there. They'll put clothing colors, like for uniform clothing. We do take school uniforms. So if they need uniforms, they'll put that in there. Or maybe they've got a specific job. Maybe they've gotten a new job and they're in the food service industry. So they need black pants and non-slip shoes, or they've got a couple of interviews with offices. So we'll give them business casual or business clothing that they can use, not just for that interview, but when they do get the job, then they start out with a week's worth of clothing to wear to work. And so they don't have to worry about spending their next paycheck on buying clothes to wear to work, and they're able to start that way. So they can be really picky about specific about what they need. And then our volunteers take great care in going through and shopping through the clothing, putting outfits together that match, and making sure that they have a week's worth of clothing that is wearable by each person.
Wow. So, and as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking from the mind perspective of the listener, how does an individual qualify in order to receive clothing? In other words, I understand there's an online form. It sounds like it's not the individual themselves that fills this out so much as maybe somebody within the schools that identifies the need and helps do that. How does that work?
So it just depends on what our agencies what their qualifications are, and the schools. So for instance, if we have someone that we have family that we know needs clothing, and they are working with one of our school districts, we send them to the school. We don't really have any qualifications other than they can only get clothing every 6 months unless there's an emergency. But so we really depend on our agencies. And we work with, just like I said, we work with a variety of different agencies. We work with mental health agencies, both county and and nonprofits. We work with homeless organizations. We work with people that are coming out of prison. We work with the juvenile probation system, prison entrepreneurship program. We work with 3 of the refugee resettlement organizations, several domestic violence organizations and victims assistance organizations, human trafficking. And I'm sure there's some more I'm leaving out, but so within those organizations, they're able to request clothing for the people that they're working with. And so I know, like, for instance, with some of our school districts, they're able to, and even all the organizations, they're able to get clothing from us. And so that means that that's something they don't have to spend money on. They don't have to worry about taking clothing donations. They're able to just get them from us. So that's kind of the qualification, is they're coming through an organization. So whatever that organization uses to qualify people, that's how it works. Now, when individuals request from us, like I said, really the only qualification is they can only get clothing every 6 months.
So you are largely a mission that supports other missions, it sounds like, organizations that are helping people get back on their feet and might need to provide them with clothing and basic need type stuff. And you take the clothing burden off their back, it sounds like.
Yes, that's really what we're able to do right now. So
awesome. And how big of an organization is Clothe by Faith?
Well, from like a budget and a staff perspective, we're not really big. We have, I think, 11 employees right now between the 2 branches and our home base. So, and we're open Monday through Friday they're there from 8 to 4. So we're open 9 to 4 Monday through Friday, because there's requests coming in every day. There's people picking up clothing all day long. And so we have to be able to stay open. We really rely on a huge volunteer team to be able to get everything managed, to get everything done. But as far as like the amount of clothing coming in and the amount of clothing going out, we served a little over 24,000 people in 2024. And so, and the year before that, it was was around 17,300. So we are definitely the need is growing. And so that's why since we talked to you in 2021, things have really changed. We've grown in the amount of people that we're serving in our branches. And then we had just started our Closets for Schools program when you interviewed me in 2021. And since then, I think we had probably 3 small closets at that time. We have 20 school closets right now. The majority of them are in Houston ISD, but we also have a closet in Pasadena ISD, Katy ISD, and Schulenburg ISD. And we're working on 2 more in Weimar ISD and Cy-Fair. And also we have potentials down in Galveston County and Hitchcock. So there's a lot of opportunity for growth. And so we're trying to figure out how to continue to grow and serve more people, but also be able to make sure we've got our infrastructure built up. We need, the more people we serve, the more clothing we need. So and the more volunteers. So there's definitely, a balance that we have to figure out. So.
Well, that's awesome. Share with us a little bit about how those Closets for Schools works.
Sure. So the Closets for Schools program is really designed to make sure that kids don't miss instructional time because they don't have the clothing to wear to school. I mean, you would be surprised at how many kids get in trouble. They get like detention, or they have to go to like in-school suspension because they're not in dress code. I was at a meeting just this week, and there's a family that just moved to Houston and they don't have enough money to buy. The school only allows them to wear khaki pants, and they don't have the money to buy khaki pants. And so the little boy, he's in elementary, I think. No, it's a middle school. He's in middle school. So 6th, 7th, or 8th grader. And he's in school suspension because his parents can't afford to buy him a couple of pairs of khaki pants, and they can't wear shorts. So the closets are designed to make sure that that's not an obstacle to a child, whether it's because the parents can't afford the clothing for whatever reason. And it could be that they just don't have it. Maybe the clothes they're wearing to school don't fit them, or they're wearing the same thing every single day. Maybe they only have like one set of a uniform shirt and bottoms. And so they're able to get that clothing that they need so that they're able to come to school and not miss class time, not be uncomfortable, not be embarrassed. And they're able to get the design of the closet, especially with the uniform clothing, is to give them 4 tops and 2 bottoms. One thing I haven't mentioned is we give brand new underwear and brand new socks in each bag of clothing. So that's something else that we definitely take new underwear and sock donations. But those kids in the closets also have underwear, socks, and shoes. So they're able to get a pair of shoes also. That's a huge need too. And even in our other closet, we have regular clothing in Pasadena ISD and Schulenburg. And those closets, the kids are able to get a week's worth of clothing. So, but it really makes a huge difference just on that, to have it on that campus or in like a feeder pattern for a school where several of our closets are used by multiple schools. So we have a larger inventory in there, and multiple schools are able to come in and get clothing, which just means they get it right then instead of having to put in a request and wait for it. But the good thing is they can also still put in a request. So if someone else in the family needs clothing, they're able to request for those families from either of our branches. So we're able to make that immediate need, but also meet other needs that might come up.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about the volunteer opportunities. It sounds like it's a big organization with a lot going, and I'm betting that there's a lot more than 11 people involved in making that happen.
Yes, there is. We definitely depend on our volunteers tremendously. And so at both of our branches, we have volunteers that come in every day. Usually it's a 2-hour shift. They typically volunteer between 10 to 12, 12 to 2, and 2 to 4. And when you first come in as a volunteer, what you'll do is you go to our website, click on Get Involved, and then register to volunteer. You choose your branch, Katy or Deer Park, and fill out that volunteer information. And so what happens is our branch manager is going to get that information. They're going to contact you back and send you a link to Sign Up Genius. And they're also going to there's some videos for you to watch. And so you'll watch those videos, sign up for a volunteer time. The first time you volunteer, they'll give you a tour and kind of an orientation. And then you get to just start right in with sorting clothing. And we start that way because that way you are learning what we're looking for in the clothes and what our quality expectations are. And then from there, if you like sorting, then you can definitely be a volunteer that sorts clothing. But you can also go into one of our shoppers. And so that's the volunteer that's going to go and get those requests and shop through the clothing and fill those requests. So those are the 2 main things that people do in the branches. But we also have volunteers that pick up laundry for us and wash donations that we've gotten they're in great condition, but maybe they just need to be, maybe they smell or they're really wrinkled or something. And so we send that out for laundry. We also have a new delivery program at both of our branches. We're delivering to some of our schools. And so we are utilizing volunteer drivers who can do that. We like to have 2 people. So there's a team that delivers. They're able to use our vans and drive around to deliver to the different schools that we deliver to. So that's another opportunity. So there's multiple ways to volunteer. We have people that take home our tags that we put on each bag. They put the ribbon on it. Sometimes we get a donation of underwear and socks. A lot of times we'll send that home with volunteers. They take baggies and we repackage all the underwear and socks into packages of 5. And so they'll take the underwear and socks home. There's also volunteer opportunities for students. So they can get volunteer hours, especially, those high school kids that need volunteer hours. They can, there's information on our website where they can do some donation drives and collect things, or they can come into the branch also. Our ages to volunteer are 14 and up, 14 and 15 with an adult, and then 16 and up can just come in on their own.
And so if somebody wants to get involved with that, what is the website that they go to in order to find out more about how to sign up and where to watch the videos and all that good stuff?
It's clothedbyfaith.org. So
okay.
just
And
.org.
excuse me.
I said just our name and then .org. So
Great. Okay. You indicated also you told us a lot about how you take different donations of gently used clothes as well as new underwear and socks. Where do people deliver that in order to drop that off? Can you tell us what the locations are for that?
Sure. So our Katy branch is at 802 Dominion Drive. We're kind of right across the street from Kingsland Church over there off of Kingsland and Dominion. And so when you bring donations, you're going to pull to the right side of the building. You'll see our donation bins. And so if you come during the day when we're open, you can just pull up to those doors, knock on the door, and they'll come and help unload your car. If it's after hours, you can put the stuff in the donation bins. And really what fit the best way to bring us donations is in kitchen size trash bags, because number one, that fits in the bin. You'll be able to get it in the bin. And number two, it's not too heavy for us to carry around. The majority of everyone that's in the building is female. And so it's a lot easier when we get bags that aren't full of donations. And so if you can label them with what's in there, that is even more helpful. Like if it's women's or, like boys size 10 or men's clothing, if you can put the gender and the size, that helps us also, because a lot of times we're looking for specific sizes. And so when donations come in, we look to see, is this something that we need right now? Or is it something that we can sort later on? And so they'll separate it that way. So that's our Katy location. Our Deer Park location is 438 East 8th Street. And we are in the gym building of Deer Park First Baptist Church. And so in there, when you come to the back and you look at the back on the left-hand corner, you'll see our doors. And we also have a donation bin there. So same thing, pull right up to the door. There's some steps there. You can pull right up to that, go ring the doorbell, and the ladies will come out and help you unload your car. And again, if it's after hours, you can leave the stuff in the bin.
Great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all this information. It sounds like you guys have really grown from 3 of the in-school closets all the way up to 20 now and spread out pretty much across multiple counties. It sounds like you guys are doing great work and people are recognizing that. Is there anything else? Oh, I didn't ask, do you guys host any kind of fundraisers or anything like that people should know about?
We do. We actually just had a fundraiser this last week with with Yaya Club and Venue 116 in Katy. And we are having a golf tournament later this year. We'll have information about that on our website and our social media soon. We are on Facebook and we're on Instagram. And we also have a account on Twitter, X, whatever it's called. We don't use that one as much as we do Facebook and Instagram, but they can definitely find out information there and also on our website.
Well, wonderful. Is there anything else that we haven't covered that you think might be important to mention before I let you go?
We get stories all the time from our partner agencies. And I think that's really the key thing to everything that we do, is hearing the impact that receiving clothing has on the people that receive it. I grew up not needing clothing. I mean, my mom would give me the Foley's card. I'd go to Alameda Mall, buy whatever I wanted. But my husband, on the other hand, he grew up in a family with a single mom and with 5 kids. And he's told me multiple times the difference that having something like Clothe by Faith would have made when he was in school. Like even getting shoes that fit or clothes that fit would just made such a difference for him. And that's the stories we hear of, kids in school getting clothes that they can wear to school, and they're so excited about what they have. have. They go back by and show, they'll, when they're wearing it, they make sure they show the counselor, or whoever they've gotten the clothing, whoever's helped them. They'll walk by and say, look, miss, look at my new shoes. And they're just so excited about it. We have another group with some women that have been in a recovery home. And one of them came in and she was just looked, she didn't have makeup on. She just looked, just didn't look good. You could tell that she was just having a hard time, and she got clothing. The next time she came back in, she fixed her hair, she had makeup on, she had the new clothes on. She brought a friend with her. She got clothes. Same thing happened. She came back in. So it's just, it really does make a huge difference. And, for people, I know, and it's just, and it makes a difference for these agencies and schools that we're working with too, because they're able to provide another service to these families that they're working with. And there's so much need all over Houston. And so they're able to provide clothing for them, and then able to continue providing other services because they're not having to spend the money on clothing. And so it really makes a huge difference just with the impact that you're able to make in a child or a family's life, or an individual.
Well, that's awesome. Good deal. Well, will I see you at the Katy Expo this year?
Yes, we will be there.
Awesome.
We're excited.
Good. So if people want to come out and learn more about you guys, as well as multiple other missions, they can come out to the Katy Expo that's coming up. I think they call it the Katy Christmas Special or something event, but it also known as the Katy Expo, and that's going to come up this fall. So there'll be at least 30 missions booths set up in there, I think, and you guys are going to be there. Great. I'll look forward to meeting you guys there.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Well, Melinda, thank you for being on the show, and thank you for doing everything that you guys are doing over there. I know y'all are working hard to really expand and grow and help as many people as you can. And it's really awesome to have been able to have seen how much you guys have grown just in the last 3 years from all you guys are doing. So that's a real testament to the fact that what you're doing is definitely God's work, and it's growing, and it's not going unnoticed.
Well, thank you. Thanks for letting us share again about Clothe by Faith.
Absolutely.